of having 140 pounds of marijuana in his vehicle.
The latest on the arrest of a man accused of trying to break into his ex-girlfriend's apartment.
And a student in Edna was not able to walk the stage at graduation because of her blue hair.
Long holiday weekend is upon us. It's going to be looking good, but we've still got to watch out for those storms out in far west Texas. We'll have the latest for you coming up.
And the Hallettsville Brahmas are in a win-or-go-home battle for its playoff lives. We have the latest in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
Monday at 2:15 p.m., Victoria officers stopped a white 2016 Mercedes in the 5400 block of Houston Highway for a traffic violation. Officers say they smelled marijuana and searched the vehicle. During the search, officers found about 140 pounds of marijuana and a large amount of money. Officers arrested 39-year-old Michael Sanabria. He's charged with money laundering and possession of marijuana.
Earlier this week, Victoria police arrested 21-year-old Jordan Paul Martinez. He's accused of trying to break into his ex-girlfriend's apartment. He was charged with assault by contact and burglary of a habitation with the intent to commit an assault. Those charges violated his probation on a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon from back in 2019. This morning in Hallettsville, during a traffic stop in the 800 block of 4th Street, police arrested 19-year-old Lyric Sarah Jones of Richmond. Jones was found to have marijuana, drug paraphernalia, and a 9mm handgun. She faces drug and weapon charges.
The Jackson County Sheriff's Office issued an arrest warrant for an El Campo man. 17-year-old Chase Allen Salas entered a guilty plea on April 4th on 3 counts of aggravated assault. Salas did not appear in court for the sentencing hearing for the conviction on April 24th. Now, if you know the whereabouts of Chase Allen Salas, contact the Jackson County Sheriff's Office 361-782-3541.
Students in Edna walked the stage Friday, May 19th with "Once a Cowboy, Always a Cowboy" on their minds. But one student says she was not allowed to walk with her classmates because her hair was colored bright blue. Leticia Kelly says the decision broke her heart.
They tore this chance away from me. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I can never get that moment back. And I was crying so much when I got home.
Taylor says she was told she could walk the stage by the superintendent of Edna ISD. She says other students walk the stage with other hair colors like pink. We spoke with Superintendent Robert O'Connor about the graduation issue.
That's right, and he had this to say. He said it didn't have anything to do with cutting her hair or having a weave. It had to do with the fact that not only did she weave in blue, but she also colored her whole head blue. Leticia Taylor says other students had colored hair but still were able to walk the stage. The Superintendent O'Connor denies this claim.
And let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. And Mac, you've been looking not only at the track of Typhoon Mawar, which is now gone through Guam.
Yeah.
But this storm is getting to be really serious.
It is a monstrous storm, and not only that, because it's in the Pacific, but today was a big day in the weather office because the Hurricane Center put out their forecast for the amount of storms they expect this coming season. It's not exactly a shocker because they went actually fairly low on the numbers. However, the heat of the Pacific is what's making Mawar a Category 5 hurricane. Again, that's the top end of the scale, and we'll be looking at it a little bit closer coming up a little bit later on. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. Texas lawmakers filed 20 articles of impeachment against Attorney General Ken Paxton, including bribery.
A group of prosecutors say he may have broken the law.
A dumpster fire outside Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's office, hours after a House committee alleged Paxton had committed several crimes. The irony not lost on the Texas House of Representatives, which took to Twitter like a firestorm Wednesday night, both Republicans and Democrats. The question of impeachment not far away from anyone's minds.
In a word, yes or no, do you think that we should have an impeachment process for the Attorney General?
No, this is exactly what the impeachment process was made for.
The Department of Public Safety confirmed to CBS Austin they've arrested 42-year-old 24-year-old Sherilyn Lynette Merritt. No word on charges or if the person in this video is her. Now, the Austin Fire Department confirmed in a tweet that arson investigators took samples on the scene to determine whether the fire was intentional, allegedly at the behest of head of DPS Steve McCraw and Governor Greg Abbott. The governor has remained silent on the new probe into Paxton, which came to a head after a stunning public hearing on Wednesday, alleging Paxton had committed crimes ranging from abuse of office to alleged falsehoods Paxton had made to officials.
Page 39, false. That's false. Page 34, false. Do you want me to keep going?
Please. Notedly, just the day before, the committee sent a letter to Paxton's office expressly telling him not to destroy records. The dumpster fire just a day later prompted new concerns and calls for impeachment.
Do you think you would vote to impeach him?
Absolutely. I think the evidence is clear.
In a statement, Paxton, who had labeled the fire himself as arson, condemned the, quote, irresponsible and reckless speculation by journalists and other public figures who misled the public about the nature of this crime. We reached out to several Republicans for comment and did not hear back. After the hearing, though, Representative Jeff Leach said, "Make no mistake, the Texas House will do our job and uphold our oaths of office."
What I'm hearing from some of my colleagues on the other side, of the aisle, it's an embarrassment for them. It draws away from the bigger issues.
The Texas Tribune reports Paxton is the first state elected official to be impeached in 48 years. The first state elected official to be impeached in Texas, Governor James Pa Ferguson in 1917.
And this is going to bring us to your viewer poll tonight. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. The question is, if Paxton was on the ballot, how would you vote? For or against? We take a look at these results for tonight, and 18% say for and 82% say against. We want to keep on hearing from you in our latest viewer poll tomorrow. Visit us tomorrow and we will have more results there. Now, a bill allowing police to quickly issue a regional alert about a missing child is heading to Governor Greg Abbott's desk. Athena Alert is designed to fill the gap between when a child disappears and how long it may take investigators to confirm the abduction. Police can use the existing Amber Alert system to quickly distribute a localized alert to people within 100 miles of the reported disappearance and to adjacent counties. The law was named after Athena Strand, a 7-year-old North Texas girl who vanished from her father's home back in November of 2022 and was found dead 2 days later. Body cam footage of the encounter between police in Jackson, Mississippi and a man who died in custody on New Year's Eve was released.
The video comes after the indictment of 3 former officers. 2 are charged with second-degree murder and 1 is charged with manslaughter. Some viewers out there might find this footage disturbing.
In this newly released body cam footage,
let's go! Hands behind your back!
You can see and hear the encounter Keith Muriel is having with 3 former Jackson police officers on New Year's Eve.
Give me your left arm. Give me your left arm.
The 41-year-old being pinned down and tased multiple times by now former officers.
We have seen actions which are excessive, disheartening, and tragic.
These 3 former officers, James Land, Avery Willis, and Kenya McCarty, can be seen in the video tussling and tasing Muriel. They're now being charged for his death.
2 officers are charged with second-degree murder. And 1 officer, Mr. Land, has been charged with manslaughter.
Attorneys representing Muriel's family had an independent autopsy done on the 41-year-old. They say Muriel died due to being severely beaten by the former officers and because they failed to render aid to him. Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba expressing that the actions by these former officers do not reflect what the city of Jackson or the police department represent.
We want to build a vision of public safety which is based in community love and also based on trust within our community. And these actions do not appear to be consistent with that vision.
We strive at the Jackson Police Department to create community trust. When we fail, we create community distrust. I would ask of the citizens of Jackson to continue to support the dedicated, hardworking men and women of the Jackson Police Department who put their lives on the line every single day.
Sparklight is going around Victoria installing a state-of-the-art fiber optic network in the city. The City of Victoria and Sparklight entered into a deal in June of 2021. Sparklight's multi-million-dollar investment will provide another option for fast and reliable high-speed internet. The City of Victoria has been looking to improve internet connectivity. Sparklight says construction of its new residential network is expected to end midway of this year. Sparklight says the network will give internet speeds up to 1 gig along with improved phone services. Gas prices normally increase in the days ahead of Memorial Day, but this year, things are not that bad. AAA reports the national average for a gallon of gas is only up 4 cents from last week. Today's average of $3.55 per gallon nationally, 8 cents less than a month ago. It's more than $1 less than this time last year. This comes in as Memorial Day road trips are expected to be up 6% from 2022. Join us Monday, June 5th for Storm Prep 2023 at 6:30 p.m. The show airs right here on KAVU TV.
You can also watch it on Crossroads Today Plus, viewit.com, and on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. We hope you'll subscribe and join us.
Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, the family of an 11-year-old boy who was shot by a police officer now calling for that officer to be fired and charged.
Also ahead, a crucial metal for electric car batteries is set for extraction in the California Sea.
A fun holiday weekend in Miami turned deadly when 2 men jumped into Biscayne Bay and one of them drowned. Miami police received a call about a possible drowning just before 5 this morning. When first responders arrived, they found 2 men in the water. One was treading water, but the other appeared to be lifeless. A police spokesperson said one of the men jumped into the water first and then his friend jumped in after him. The person who survived was holding on to his friend, trying to help him get to shore when fire rescue arrived.
The family of an 11-year-old Mississippi boy who was shot by police is calling for the officer to be fired and charged with the shooting. The shooting happened Saturday when police responded to a call about a domestic disturbance at the Murray home. The boy's mother said an officer came into her home with his gun drawn and shot the 11-year-old as he entered the living room. The 11-year-old was treated at University of Mississippi Medical Center and was released back home.
We basically sat there and voiced our opinions. We asked the mayor to say something to the family, offer some kind of comment on behalf of the city to let them know if they are sorry, let them know they're sorry. Say something to them. The mayor would not say anything. The granddad was very irate. He was very upset about what's been done and the nonchalant attitude of the mayor and the chief. The mother expressed her concerns and said she really didn't want any of this. She didn't want the publicity. She just wanted them to fire the guy and do the right thing. But they continue to bow up, and she needs justice. And so she's fighting on behalf of her son, who didn't ask to be shot.
The family attorney said he will be filing a federal lawsuit next week. Now, lithium is said to be extracted from underneath California's Salton Sea. The metal is crucial for electric car batteries.
And there's hope a new lithium rush could save the dying Salton Sea and supercharge America's EV industry.
It looks like a shimmering sea that was once called a miracle in the desert.
The Salton Riviera beside the blue Salton Sea.
A Hollywood hideaway 3 hours from Los Angeles where Sinatra and the Rat Pack played. But now, after decades of drought and farm runoff raising the water's salinity, the Salton Sea today is surrounded by dust and decay.
The hope is that the chronic unemployment and poverty down here can be alleviated.
This gurgling and sputtering from underground gases potentially heralds a new beginning.
These structures are called mud volcanoes.
Geologist Michael McKibben explains deep underneath us, where two tectonic plates are pushing past each other, magma heats groundwater. And within that salty water, called brine, minerals dissolve, including the valuable metal lithium. Solid lithium is essential for electric vehicle batteries. Right now, most lithium battery production is in China, but experts say the Salton Sea region could provide enough lithium to move the U.S. toward lithium independence, supercharging our EV transition.
Our intention is to be in construction this year and be in operation in 2025.
Eric Spomer is CEO of Energy Source Minerals, one of 3 companies planning to draw lithium from the underground hot brine. Boiling brine already fuels 11 Salton Sea geothermal power plants, among them Hudson Ranch 1.
We developed a technology that is incredibly efficient at extracting lithium from brine.
One of the hopes with lithium extraction is that it could bring vitality back to the Salton Sea and so much of what we're looking at all around us. Fewer than 10 years ago, this was underwater, and people who live in and around the area hope that with more money into the economy, at least a fraction of the Salton Sea can be restored to its former glory.
On the banks of the Salton Sea, I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Ukrainian President Zelensky made a surprise appearance at the Johns Hopkins University commencement today. Appearing virtually, he told the graduates that time is the most valuable resource. Zelensky talked about his visit to the front lines of the war and how he spoke to soldiers with similar education backgrounds to the students watching him today. After his address, the university also announced he was being honored with an honorary doctorate of humane letters.
Very interesting. Well, good evening, everyone. It's a long holiday weekend. Some of you are traveling, some of you are staying in the backyard. What will the weather be? Well, we'll be talking about that coming up in a moment. evening, everyone. We also had big news in the weather office because today, May 25th, is when the Hurricane Weather Center puts out the forecast for the season of how many storms we're going to get. Now, here's what they came up with, and as you can see it right about here. Let me see, I can't see at this distance. First of all, from the named storms, they said we were going to have 12 to 17. That's above a tropical storm. Hurricanes, they said we were going to have 5 to 9. And major hurricanes, 1 to 4. Well, now, excuse me, but in the last 10 years, we've had a whole lot more than that. The first name will be Arlene, Brett, Cindy, Don, Emily, Franklin, and Gert. Let's see if we can get there. But earlier in the season, we've heard us report that Colorado State University, who began this process of predicting numbers, came up with 13, 7, and 13, below average. The National Hurricane Center, 15, 7, and 3, came basically at average because the average season is 14, 6, and 2. Okay? Now, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm nobody. I'm certainly not the Hurricane Center. But I double those numbers because of the content of the heat in the Atlantic Ocean. And 22, 14, and 8. 8 major storms. Now, I'm willing to put my forecast up against anybody's, and we're going to total that out at the end of the year and see who actually got closer to that prediction. Now, here is Africa, here's Brazil, here is what we call the MDR, the Main Development Region. And this graphic is the anomaly. In other words, that's the difference from normal. In the reds, that is warmer than normal water, and that goes all the way across the Atlantic, all the way into the Gulf of Mexico. So when you have that much warm water, you have, well, we had earlier, I'm going to talk about in a moment, the super typhoon that occurred in the mid-Pacific. Right now we're at 75 degrees, a very light wind. We got up to 90 today. We're going to stay right at about 90 right on through the holiday weekend. So yes, it's going to feel a lot like summertime. We had sun and then some clouds came in late in the day, remnants of one storm that began in Abilene last night. This afternoon, more storms firing in the west, but as I look at the models, none of these are forecast to move into our region. So we're going to be fine. But if you're traveling to the Panhandle, West Texas, even Laredo, you're going to watch these thunderstorms pop pretty much every afternoon. So just keep that in mind. It'll be clear in the morning, and then in the afternoon you'll see these big, tall thunder boomers develop. So we're watching that because the dry line is just going to be continuing to produce those storms. We just can't get away from it. Now, as we take a look beyond that, I wanted to show you Super Typhoon Mawar. Now, this is the one that went over Guam yesterday, and what I wanted to point it out, it's in the mid-open water. It's in very warm Pacific water. It's now back up to 165 mile an hour sustained winds with gusts to 195. Now, I've seen that before, only when the water is extremely warm. There's a direct correlation between water temperature and strength of storm. It is now headed toward Taiwan. There's no guarantee it'll hit Taiwan, but it's moving generally in that direction. For those of you back home here in Port Lavaca, we're looking for an 87 for a high. And for those of you going to Riverside Park doing a little dancing over the weekend, or Tejano dancing that is, we're looking for 89 on Friday, 90 on Saturday, Sunday. Minimum less than a 10% chance of anything popping. As we get to Monday, Memorial Day, we start picking up a little bit more chance of an afternoon shower or two, but none of this will be severe weather. That is your 7-day forecast. I want to remind everybody we've got a QR code. You scan that, you can put Crossroads Today right on your cell phone, and we can be in touch with you whenever you need it. And so now, is it baseball or softball, Gino?
Well, it's a little bit of both. We got Lady Comanches, we got Hallettsville Brahma baseball, but the Lady Comanches look to go 1-0 tonight. See if they did after the break. Howdy Crossroads, the Hallettsville Brema's playoffs hopes were alive. Let's see if it stayed that way. Hallettsville was in prime position early on to strike and potentially get on the board with this single in the first inning. And this bunt was perfectly placed, get the runner moving to third, and he would beat the ball out to first and third situation for Hallettsville. But they try to get tricky and steal both second and home, and they get thrown out. What a play by London to keep the score 0 early on in the game. The Pirates did not let their spoils go to waste. They hit a double over the center fielder to eventually bring home 1 run. Hallettsville would go ahead and balk another run and bring 1 home in the 3rd inning, and both teams tallied 2 runs in the 6th, but the game would end with a strikeout by London. Final score 5-2, London wins. The Bremas are officially out of the playoffs. The Shiner Lady Comanches finished up its big matchup against the Weimar Lady Cats today. But before we get to that, sports reporter Zach Brown spoke with the Athlete of the Week ahead of the big game.
Shiner's deep playoff push continues this evening after a huge 1-game series victory over Granger. They blew them out 9-3 with the help of 2 homers from Kaylee Bedeker. Now they have a huge series against Weimar, who knocked them out last year.
It feels great to actually be able to come back with the same team, and them losing some of their more powerful girls and us coming back stronger and better than we were last year. I mean, it feels great. There's tons of pressure, especially knowing that they got first in district this year and us coming out second. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on us just pulling out this win.
They didn't have any seniors on the team last year, so everyone has returned and remembers what happened. Despite the obvious rivalry, head coach Jason Keller isn't letting his girls get too far ahead of themselves.
I think it's it's important for us because we actually look at that as just another game, although there is a rivalry there and a history there, between the 2 programs, the multiple trips to the state tournament. We know each other really well, and to have the experience from them last year and not graduate anybody and be able to come back and know what you know now and be able to replicate that again with a little bit more knowledge and skill is important for us. So we feel like we've done a good job. We've worked really hard, and we'll see what happens on Thursday.
That person screaming is her father, who is extremely supportive and gets very excited for her accomplishments. She threw shot put in state and has shined on the diamond. This support has helped Kaylee, who was only a sophomore, reach her potential as an athlete. He had a lot to be excited about last week as her 2 bombs led the way to Shiner advancing in the playoffs, making her our Athlete of the Week.
Well, the Lady Comanche fans are happy as they get the win 4-3 over Weimar. They will play Game 2 Saturday starting at 3 at Texas State University in San Marcos. And that means there's only 2 teams left in our area that are still in the playoffs, and they're both from the cleanest little city in Texas. Well, that's your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Gina. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, police in California rescue a horse after it ran away from its owner.
Tuesday, Microsoft announced they're adding AI options to the Windows 11 platform. The program is called Windows Copilot. It's an assistant driven by text, designed to make your computer or laptop easier and more intuitive. Now, users click on a desktop icon and type in requests, and it can find answers. Copilot can also assist with Windows functions like changing the desktop image. The program will be available to beta testers in June and to the general public later this year. Researchers are working on more options to help people lose weight. The experimental drugs aim to surpass weight loss stars like Ozempic and Wegovy. Several of the new medications now in development could increase weight loss and offer other additional health benefits. Some of the experimental drugs could even have various forms other than injections. However, it could be years before the new drugs reach the market. And if some people out there want to try and lose weight by just getting out in the heat for this weekend, please take some water, take an umbrella. It could get a bit hot.
It's a good option, you know. You don't have to pay to join the gym. You just walk around the block.
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't have to be a member of the club. But if you do, and if you don't like it, just go to the mall or go to the Sam's and walk around 10 times. It's about the same thing. Anyway, folks, for those of you planning to travel, just remember storms out in far west Texas will pop in the afternoon. For those of us staying here in the Crossroads, you got a pretty good looking weekend. Lots of sun, temperatures around 90 degrees, and that's average. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So we're right on schedule. And of course, on Monday, Memorial Day, we pick up, did I say that? Memorial Day. We do have a shot at a few little showers popping around, but none of that I think is going to be significant and nor severe weather at all. So have a great weekend in case you're leaving early tomorrow morning.
Alrighty, thank you, Mac. Now, police in California rescued a runaway horse earlier this week. They received a call around midnight of a loose horse running down the street without its owner. Police found the horse grazing on some lawn of a home a short time later. The owner of the horse was also found at a nearby bridge. An officer who luckily had experience with horse mounted on the animal and rode it back to its owner. The owner told police the horse had gotten spooked after their ride and ran off, but luckily no one was hurt.
Proving once again, a horse is a horse.
Of course,
a horse is a horse.
Unless it's the famous Mr. Ed.
Alrighty, well, thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today.
Join Catalina Astorine and meteorologist Trey Mining. 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.